there's not a lot of people that would say, as you say, it's shocking that they ended up out of this thing, right? Like, there were signs leading up to this. But even with everything that had gone down, the way qualifying works in this region, it's so forgiving. And this was so set up for the U.S. This is how bad Trinidad and Tobago is. They'd won 1 of 9 games in this round of qualifying. They'd already fired 2 coaches. They had punted on qualifying. Not only were they eliminated, they weren't even calling up their veteran players. They didn't have a guy over 29 years of age in this group. I mean, it was perfectly set up. They left their star forward at home. They had their other best player who was suspended for the game. The U.S. literally couldn't have asked for anything better. They moved the game 45 minutes out of the capital, Port of Spain. ED, like you said, there was nobody in the stands. It wasn't some hostile crowd. There was no excuse. This game was a very, very easy setup to push this thing that has been a struggle all qualifying over the line. And the fact that this group of American players that a lot of people say is the most talented generation we've ever had failed in this spot, it's not only one of the worst results in American soccer history, it's one of the worst performances. If you watch that first half hour, I cannot imagine being in a game where you're the team with a World Cup ticket on the line and you show up and you play with that little intensity. I mean, embarrassing is a good word. It's a strong word, but I think it perfectly fits what we saw.
Right. The thing that blew me away, so I've only casually observed this because I'm like most average sports fans around here that I get geeked up for the World Cup and maybe some of the late qualifying, but I don't follow it, game after game. So I'm on Twitter and I'm saying, oh my God, they're down 2-0. I have to turn this on. So I turn it on in the second half right before Pulisic or whatever his name is scores his goal to make it 2-1. I think, okay, here we're going to go. And I got to tell you, Sebastian, I've never seen less urgency. I've played on co-ed rec teams that had more urgency than I was stunned at how dead they looked in the second half. Stunned.
And EB, it was worse in the first half. And all of the guys, the traveling press, we were looking at each other like, do they not know what's on the line? I mean, this is a team that 3 days ago looked gangbusters. I mean, they wiped the floor with a Panama team that is way better than this Trinidad and Tobago team. It is inexplicable. It is absolutely inexplicable that a coach who for so long has been able to push all the right buttons and get the most out of his guys, and that veteran players, I mean, we talk about Michael Bradley all the time as this great leader, this captain. I mean, it wasn't there last night. There's no way that group of guys goes out and lollygags around that field for the opening half hour of that game. And that's a Trinidad and Tobago team that's basically trying guys out for the future, jump out to a 2-0 lead. Urgency is the perfect word. There was just none of it. You would have thought in the first half hour of that game that you were watching a freaking training session.
Yeah. And also was off-putting. Actually, it was weird. It was almost surreal to watch the game with no crowd noise. You know what I mean? I don't know. I wonder if that even affected the guys a little bit.
I think you might be onto something there because it was a really odd decision for the Trinidad and Tobago Federation to move this game to where they did. There's a lot of speculation as to why they did it. They come up with this like cockamamie story that the lights weren't working at the other stadium. But people here in Trinidad and Tobago, it was not on their radar at all. When this team was eliminated, they stopped caring about the team. I asked some of the security guards before the game, like, what are you guys expecting? The stadium holds 10,000. They were like, whoever shows up, man. We're 45 minutes out of Capital. It takes 2 hours to get here. Like, are you kidding me? Like, nobody's coming to this thing. There was many American fans, like an hour and a half before the game, the 200 that traveled, as Trinidad and Tobago fans. And you're right. I think a little bit having this must-win game in a JV high school soccer setting might have had something to do with the slow start. But that's not an excuse. Like, these guys are professionals. You got guys on this team clocking $6 million a year in MLS. Like, if there's no opposing fans there, then you got to generate your own urgency. It was unacceptable on every level.
Sebastian, the U.S. fell to the 99th ranked Trinidad and Tobago team. I mean, they were near triple-digit ranked, and the U.S. loses to them with a World Cup berth on the line.
Population 1.3 million. We live in a nation of over 300.
Is this a 16 beating a 1?
It's like a play-in. I don't know. Sebastian, can you hear us? We lost him.
He's getting a hell out of Dodge.
Yeah, I don't blame him. See if you could find him.
Tell that woman to zip it.
Well, she's just doing
Trying
a
to do an
job.
interview here.
I stand by this here because they've tried to recreate the roster over the years and start with this big soccer movement over and over again until the Allen Iversons of the United States start playing soccer. They're not going to have
I don't even buy.
top guys.
I don't even buy that because we have such a population advantage over a place like Trinidad and Tobago that it shouldn't even matter if we don't get the top tier of athlete. Even the second and third tier,
But
we should be able
imagine-
to punk
Okay,
countries like Trinidad and
but
Tobago.
imagine
Are you
if-
kidding me?
Lamar Jackson grew up playing soccer instead of football. Or,
Well, he'd be fast.
I mean, sickening
You know
more
what?
of that.
I know, but we have, a lot of these Hispanic countries are really good at soccer, right?
Yes.
We have Hispanics here. We have Hispanic American players.
Correct.
Their parents are from those countries. and they grew
Sebastian
up
is
here.
one of them.
Yeah, why aren't we good?